You are tuned in to What Up Baltimore online radio. Please note that the views and opinions expressed on this channel are of the host and not of Lady J Media. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, What Up Baltimore TV. And if you really don't want to miss any of the shows, hit that notification bell and you'll get a message every time we come on. Now, we got it from here, so sit back, relax, and stay tuned. Hey everybody, this is Dr. Lady J, and I am currently at the detention center. So if you hear noise in the background or if you see me moving around or looking around, it's because I'm waiting for my client to come downstairs because he's being released. But a lot of times when they get released, you have to wait for them to go through processing, and that could take hours upon hours. And I've already been here about 6 hours now waiting. So, we're going to stay here. I've waited as long as 2 o'clock in the morning. So we're going to, continue to wait here until they send him downstairs. And we're really thankful for the judge who saw his case and saw that it didn't make sense and he threw it out. Unfortunately, this young man has suffered some brutality, severe brutality, while he was at the detention center. So we are going to talk about that later. But y'all, I had to operate in my chaplain role. So I never mix the two. I stay in my chaplain role and I follow them until they go to court, and then we talk about it. So now that the case is over, we will be talking about it. If not this week, next week. But tonight, I'm really excited because a lot of you already know Christopher Dews. He was on before. I love Christopher and his work that he's doing in Annapolis, keeping us updated on stuff. And then I didn't know Bakari, but have another new friend. You meet friends along the way. Didn't know these guys knew each other. So Bakari is here, and a lot of you heard Sean Gardner before because he was on the line before, I think a few weeks ago. He had called in and we were able to get some information. But guys, listen, this is why I'm so excited because I got Sean's information and I cannot believe all of the stuff that he is doing from behind the wall. Like, it's just unreal. So thank you, Bakari, for getting in touch with me. And I want to thank Sean. Thank you to his wife as well for, setting it up so Sean can talk to us as well. So tonight, we're going to have that conversation to talk about behind the wall mentors. And I want you all to really listen. Tonight, I'm not going to be able to take any phone calls because I'm not at home. So we're not on the radio tonight where I can't, all of that stuff is at home. I thought I would be home by now. So, I'm having to use my other phone, which keeps me from going on the radio because Sean is calling from inside. So I can't even do my radio thing. But, nevertheless, we're going to keep going. So, Christopher, tell us a little bit about you and what's going on.
You got it. Yeah, I'll be brief. First of all, Lady J, thank you for having me on again. And Bakari, great friend of mine. We toured many jails together, trying to make sure that individuals were actually getting access to the ballot. So, really good friend of mine. He does a lot of great work. But me, I'm Christopher Dews. I am currently the Assistant Vice President of Cornerstone Government Affairs, which is a lobbying firm in Annapolis, and I represent two really phenomenal clients, one being the Job Opportunities Task Force, which is an organization that is dedicated to helping lower wage workers and job seekers pursue and obtain higher wage jobs, primarily through the elimination of barriers to employment through policy. So they love helping people get jobs. The second is Out for Justice. Out for Justice is an organization run by and for formerly incarcerated Marylanders to kind of improve outcomes through policy. So they push legislation like the Women's Pre-Release Center, criminal record expungements, court access, and things of that nature. And Job Opportunities Task Force pursues things like budgetary proposals and the eliminations of license suspensions, all to help primarily formerly incarcerated persons get access to employment, and not just any employment, but good quality jobs where they can take care of themselves and their families and properly re-enter into society. So I love the work. I love both of those organizations, and that's pretty much all that there is to say about me in this moment.
Okay, and you're good at what you do. I want to say that you are good at what you do, and I love that you speak with it. You speak about it with such enthusiasm. You know, you make people want to know what it's all about. So thank you for the work that you do. And Bakari, tell us a little bit about you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bakari Atiba. Chris is a very good friend of mine. He does some great work. I vouch for everything you just said, Lady J. And I
Yes.
always enjoy hitting the pavement and putting some work in with Chris. Um, I am a member of Beyond the Wall Mentors, which is the outside component of Behind the Wall Mentors. I'm also the community liaison for Hope Baltimore, helping oppressed people excel, where we deal with barrier relief for formerly incarcerated individuals, and we also deal with policy and advocacy. And I'm also a general member of Out for Justice, along with Chris, where we deal with policy. We just been in Annapolis testifying on some very important and imperative bills. And I'm also the community leadership specialist for Charm City Care Connection, which is a harm reduction organization working in East Baltimore to kind of meet people where they at and ensure that they have the wraparound services that they need to be safe and to also thrive and elevate, in whichever way they define that. So yeah,
Right.
and it's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Awesome. Awesome. Bakari, can you share a little bit about how? Oh, you know what? No, no, no. Before I do that, let me bring Sean on first. Hey, Sean, tell everybody who you are. Even though some people have heard you, some people may not know who you are. You still there, Sean?
I'm Sean Don. I'm Sean Don and the founder of Behind the Wall Mentors. She's a fixer of a blind guy that was incarcerated and it really came over they had things moving growing up. They let them see like a life of crime. Also, they let them to prison. So I did come up with and really changed their lives. They
And okay, and Sean, yeah, Sean, I wanted you to um, share with everybody how this Behind the Wall Mentor organization got started.
pretty much got started around like 2008. And basically, we were just writing letters to different family members around that may not want to listen to us. You got those cousins and nephews, they might have seen you in a certain light when you on the street. So they're like, man, how you gonna talk to me? And you was in the streets. So basically, we just piggyback and I would let some of the mentors speak to my family members, and they let me speak to some of their young family members. Because I got started.
And this is my other question for you, Sean. Like, how do you get the drive and the you know to do that? Like, what makes you do that?
I basically do it because I'm watching 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds come in, and I'm like, they ain't really have a chance. So I don't want to mentor you once you get a life sentence or 50 years. I want to catch you before you come in. So
When
it's
they
my job and passion, and I know that I know the youth need something else to do. Like, we can tell them not to do something, but we got to give them an opportunity to have something in place
right,
for them to excel.
right, and when they come through, and Bakari and Christopher, just be patient with me for a minute because I don't know how long I'm going to have Sean on the phone, but I wanted to kind of get some information from him. But when these young people come through, Sean, because I know from the time that you've been in there up until now, I'm pretty sure you've seen a lot of stuff and a lot of changes with these young people coming through. Um, what 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 are they really when they come through? Are you able to get them involved in your programs?
I think I really like hand-picked guys. You know, they really want to help. They really want to help young men from not coming to prison.
Right.
So it's a team model that we really evaluate your actions.
Okay.
Like, we don't really go off of God's word. It's what you're trying to do. How you trying to better yourself. You at school, you taking classes. You trying to make a difference.
Okay.
That's how we all come together.
Got you. Okay. I just want to again commend you for the work that you are doing, because it's a wonderful work, and you know, you are actually a blessing and a positive force to other people that come in, because they get to see somebody inside, and you're not just letting like idle time go by. You're actually in there trying to do some work to uplift and help other people. So, Bakari, were you inside with Sean? Is that how this happened?
I wasn't actually inside with Sean, but I served 19 years and 11 months in prison.
Maybe it's me. Hold on a second. Can you hear me, Bakari?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think it might be me. Go ahead again. Say it again.
I was saying I wasn't actually in the same institution with Sean, but I also served 19 years and 11 months on a 30-year sentence.
Wow.
Right. And so the work that they were doing was the similar work that I was doing in every location that I was in. Right. Okay. Catching a prison sentence at 20 years old, you know, not really having my identity intact, not knowing who I was, not knowing what I should be doing. You know, I was fortunate enough to meet some men that seen something in me that I didn't see in myself, and they began to feed me, you know, and I took that food and I just started eating on it because I was tired. Even at a young age, I was tired. You know, we had already been in the streets since we was 12 or 13 years old. You know, the first time I was arrested was 12 years old, you know. So, you know, by the time I became an adult, not a man, but an adult, it's a difference, you know. I just was tired, you know, and like I said, some men seen something in me. They reached out to me. I started feeding my mind. I started studying. I started reading. You know, I started writing down, you know, what I was learning and what I was understanding from these books I was reading to help me better make sense of it. You know, I started going back to school, you know, to further educate myself. And I just always knew I had an obligation to pay that forward. You know, I'm looking around me at my peers. We in the joint. We off the hook. You know, I was once off the hook. So once I started kind of isolating myself in plain sight, if that makes sense, so that I could really work on myself and try to figure out who am I, you know, and what type of future do I want for myself despite my circumstances. You know, some of my peers started reaching out like, yo, what you reading? Why you always in the day room reading? Why you not playing cards no more? You know, and that started those conversations. Then I began organizing study groups, right? Where I would bring young men between the ages of 16 and 21. I would bring them together and we would pick a book for the month. I would make us all read that book. We would all discuss it. And everybody used to have to write a 1-page essay on that book, explaining in their own words what they got and what they understand about that, you know. And that just blew up. Like it just became a whole movement, and it got the attention of the administration, and they started seeing what was going on. So then I got an opportunity to help a program called Reason Straight. Right, we recreated this program called Reason Straight, and we were able to start actually working with youth from the outside. They would bring them into the institution. We would give them a tour of the institution to highlight the harsh realities of prison life, and then we would take them and split them up and go into these rooms and start unpacking, you know, what was going on in their lives, so we could start giving life back to them. You know, and I did that for like 5 or 6 years, and you know, working with agencies on the outside like Mount Man and different group homes. You know, kids that were starting to become just as involved or hadn't really yet gotten to the system. We was trying to reach them and kind of work with them before they actually took that leap, you know, into a full-fledged criminal lifestyle, right?
Wow.
So, you know, preventive, trying to do the preventive thing. So I did 19 years, 11 months. I got a college degree. I got my barber's license. I got a wellness. I'm certified as a welder. I'm a certified master gardener. You know, I just began to equip myself with as many options as possible through education, so that when I got released and I transitioned out of prison,
Okay.
you know, I would be able to compete with the rest of my peers that were my age that never, you know, were excluded from society for 20 years. And I was
Right.
just determined that, you know, my current circumstances wouldn't define my life forever, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that's kind of like my story. I came home, I hooked up with Alpha Justice, I knew the importance of networking. I had already started building my network before I
Mm-hmm.
left prison, started building my village, because you know we say it takes a village to raise a child, but
Right.
it takes
Right.
a village to nurture an adult as well.
That's
Right.
right.
So I
That's right.
started to build my village before I came out, so that I could come out into this village as a
Mm-hmm.
supportive, protective measure to help me stay focused on my goals and keep me from recidivist, you know, returning back to prison or possibly harming or hurting somebody else. And that's
Right.
what I did. I reached out to Alpha Justice, became active with them on a research committee. I started becoming involved in Hope Baltimore, you know, myself working with other men and women coming out of prison. I started working up Emerson High School as an urban youth specialist mentor. And then we just, you know, just started rolling from there. And a
Wow.
mutual friend that was on the inside was Sean, who knew the work that I was doing. He came home a year after me, and he was just like, look, we started this program, such. He was like, it's similar to what you were already doing in prison, you know, because a lot of my guys would be leaving and be sent to other institutions, and they would start organizing these study groups. So, like, you know, this energy and this idea and this new culture inside of prison that, you know, doesn't really exist to people on the outside, we started spreading this to other institutions, you know.
Mm.
And
Wow.
so when I hooked up with my man, and he was telling me about BTW, and he was like, man, you know, you think you can help out? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'll contribute to anything that's going to be beneficial and positive, you know,
Right.
and pour life back into our community and our, you know, and our younger ones.
Mm-hmm. Listen, Bakari, I salute you. I hope I get a chance to meet you in person. That's
Yes,
an
man.
amazing story. And you know what? It's amazing because I'm in court all the time and I'm following, clients to court. And it's always this attitude, especially with black men, like, they feel like if they let you out, you're going to go out there and do something stupid and come right back. And it's so many people, men and women, who have come out and done amazing things, and they've done more than people that have been out for years. And I'm
Right.
just, every time I
Right.
interview somebody, like yourself, I'm just amazed at all the stuff that you accomplished. And you said you spent 19 years
In
behind the
11 months.
walls.
We might as well say 20. I was 3 weeks short of 20 years, my 20th anniversary.
Wow, wow, 20 years. Now, how old were you when you went in?
21,
Oh
20.
my goodness!
I was
Wow.
20, just ready to turn 21. And I
Oh
came
my
home, I
goodness!
was 40.
Wow. See, you know what? I'm going to talk to you after the show, or later this week, because what I'm doing now, Bakari, these young guys that I keep going to court with over and over again, I told them I'm going to introduce you to some men who went in at your age, and they came out in their 40s and 50s. One guy just came out at 62 a few
Right,
weeks ago. He went in at
right,
15. Like,
right.
so I'm trying to get them to understand to the importance of these decisions that they're making, that can stop everything for the rest of their life. So I really appreciate everything that you are doing. Y'all, I want to get all of these kudos in because I just got word that my client will probably finally be downstairs in about 20 minutes. So I may
Okay.
have to cut this, but we will come back and do another show. For those of you who just tuned in, I'm actually at the detention center. I got a makeshift. If y'all can see my makeshift right here, what's going on to try to get this show going, but I didn't want to disappoint anybody. And Sean, so let me make sure I have this straight. So Sean, you have behind the wall mentors inside, and then you, Bakari, have something else on the outside.
It's the same thing,
Uh-huh.
right? So what we doing is behind the wall mentors is already established on the inside. So
Okay.
now that a few of us have since transitioned over the last couple of years, now we're doing BTW beyond the wall mentors.
Got you.
And we're going,
Got you.
it's all together. So now we got the inside component where brothers doing the work on the inside, and now we outside, and we're gonna start pushing this thing on the outside, and bringing and bridging the gap and bringing the two together.
You definitely have my support. We will be talking. Definitely
Thank
have
you.
my support. And Christopher, I wanted to bring you in because you gave me some good news a few days ago about a bill that was passed.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, and I can be relatively brief. So, one of the biggest initiatives that we have been looking at Alpha Justice and at the Job Opportunities Task Force has been something called the REDEEM Act. The REDEEM Act is simply an expungement bill. So right now, the way current law operates is that for charges that are eligible for expungement, and there's only about 130 of them that are even eligible. Starting there, you have to wait 10 years after you have completed your entire sentence, parole and probation, before you can get a misdemeanor expunged. You have to wait 15 years before you can get any type of non-violent felony, and there's about 8 that are currently eligible for expungement expunged. And then when it comes to second-degree assault, you have to wait 15 years for that, and common law battery is 15 years. So the state of Maryland has some of the longest expungement waiting periods in the nation. So ever since the Justice Reinvestment Act happened in the middle of the last decade, about 2016, when these things even became eligible for expungement, we had a great deal of individuals who now they've served their entire time, but they have to wait 15 more years after their entire sentence. So our mission with the REDEEM Act was simply to reduce those expungement waiting periods. So the original bill tried to reduce misdemeanors down from 10 years, the current waiting period, to 3, nonviolent felonies from 15 to 5. For those who because I know somebody's going to ask me the question, what about the violent felonies? These are defined in criminal law 14-101. Those charges are currently not eligible for expungement, but I'll get there in a second. So the bottom line is what we did with this bill, instead of getting it down to 3 years for misdemeanors, we actually got it cut in half. So instead of now waiting 10 years to get your misdemeanor expunged, you can now only have to wait 5 years. For nonviolent felonies, instead of having to wait 15 years, you now only have to wait 7. If you have second-degree assault or some type of battery charge, instead of waiting 15 years, you now only have to wait 7. The only exceptions that were not amended out, but were kind of altered in the bill was that theft and burglary, specifically theft charges over a certain amount. I think it's specifically over $1,500. You have to wait 10 years for that. And for burglaries, you have to wait 10 years. It's still 5 years less than what you normally have to do. So the bottom line is the REDEEM Act sharply reduces the expungement waiting period. And for the charges that are currently not eligible for expungement, what we also started to do with this bill is we looked at certain charges like malicious destruction of property, and that got added into the bill. So from here, our motivation is to just keep adding charges every year that currently aren't eligible. There's a lot of charges that are not eligible, but keep adding charges that are not eligible to the expungement waiting list, and then they'll all benefit from a massive reduction in waiting. There was a gentleman who came every single year since I have been at JOTF for 4 years, lobbying on behalf of this bill, and he was there the day that it got passed, and so it's just a beautiful thing, man. So if you have a record and your charge is eligible, then most likely you now have the ability to get that expunged in a much quicker time period. The most important thing to know is that come October the 1st is when the REDEEM Act goes into effect. So by October the 1st, you should definitely, if you have a record, talk to any one of the expungement lawyers at Maryland Volunteer Lawyer Service or the Maryland Legal Aid, or you can just call me directly and I can look up your specific charge and see if it qualifies now to be expunged far sooner than it would have been. And if you have a charge that is currently not eligible for expungement and you want us to consider trying to get that charge on the expungement list for next year, that's something that we are open to and considering as well. So to be blunt, and I'll end on this, the REDEEM Act is the largest expungement bill that has happened in nearly a decade. It's huge. Our sponsors were kind of unorthodox. We had Senator Jeff Waldstreicher from Montgomery County, who's has a mixed history on these types of issues, but he wanted to take this one on for his own specific reasons. And we had Delegate Sandy Bartlett of Anne Arundel County, District 32, great friend of mine who really took this issue on in light of Kurt Anderson, who was a delegate in District 43, which is kind of the not Mondawmin, which is the Morgan State University area, Monticello area. And because he retired, he passed this bill on to Sandy, and Sandy got it done. So it's a huge bill. We haven't even really had the time to celebrate it because session just ended on Monday.
Right.
If you got a record, please get in contact with me, and you know we want to try to measure the impact of this as we go on.
And Chris, can you tell them how to contact you?
Absolutely. So 3 ways of getting into contact with me. The first way is obviously going to be my phone number, which I have no problem with letting the world know. It is 301-412-5399. I'm going to try to put that in the chat somewhere so people can see it. That's 301-412-5399. Text is always faster than just straight calls. On Instagram, which I'm a millennial, so I need to be using these types of features. It is Chris Dews, CHRIS DEWS, like Mountain Dew with an S, 91, Chris Dews 91 on Instagram. And then there's my email address, which is simply chrisdews91@gmail.com. If anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, or wonder if their charge is eligible for expungement, all they got to do is call me, email me, text me, or hit me up on the gram, and I'll gladly get that question answered for you.
Okay, cool. Bakari, I'm going to end it with you. Sean had to go. We all understand that. Gentlemen, if you can, I want to try to pick this up next week because I want to have some more conversation about this. My client is getting ready to come down, so I want to make sure I got all my stuff packed and I'm over at the door because I know he does not want to be in here any longer.
Yeah, I know that's right. But yeah, that'd be good if we could do that.
Yeah, so absolutely. If we can get together next Monday at 8:00, that would be good. I won't have court anymore until May. So if we can get back next week and I'll talk to Sean's wife so we can come back because I really want to talk more about the program. I didn't know I would be here this long today. We've been at this since 8:30 this morning. So I'm getting a little weary right now. But but that's the life of doing this. So everybody, my name is Dr. J, and listen, if you need a chaplain, that's what I do during the day. I do the radio thing at night, but I go to court. I go to the detention centers, to the prisons, the jails, and I go in, I do counseling, and I follow these individuals all the way to the courtroom. And many times I'm one of the people that's up giving my assessment for you to be able to come home or whatever it is you have discussed with your attorney. So if you need me, let me see. I thought I had my number up here, but my number is 443-297. I'm like Christopher, the whole world has it. 443-297-4753. That's my phone number. It's actually scrolling at the bottom. Yeah, you'll see it at the bottom of the screen. That's the way you can reach me if you need some information or you need some help. Because a lot of times when people go in, like in this particular case, there were no family visits at all. It was just attorney or clergy that could come in for the past 3 months. And so that's what I've been doing over here. And so everybody have a blessed night. Christopher, thank you so much for coming on with that information that you gave us. Thank you. Bakari, thank you so much for coming on. And Sean, I know that he's gone, but I thank Sean for coming on as well. And thank you all for all of the great work that you did. And I'm definitely going to be getting with you guys because I'm working on something and I need some men to be involved with it. And I'll be talking to you more about that. So everybody have a good night. Have a great night. And be blessed. And make sure that you bless somebody else as you go along the way. All right. Good night, everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Good night.